Welcome back to Beyond the Product. Guys, this is episode 12, The Mindset Shift. But before we get started, a huge shout out to our sponsors with PWI. Without them, we couldn't bring you these podcasts every month. So we're really excited that they decided to jump on board. They offer great products, and we run those products in our shop, and we're really happy they're here. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce our guest today, Josh Kasinskas. Did I say it right, Josh?
You got it.
I always mispronounce your last name, and I don't mean to, but I always do. Josh is our business coach. Josh is the guy that helps challenge me and Miranda in making decisions every day to operate this business. And when a lot of people think about business coaching, I think they think about this guy in a suit and a tie that walks in with a briefcase and kind of looks around and says, no, this is how you should do this. But it's really not like that at all. And you could probably be the guy that can explain a little bit what business coaching is and what you bring to the table, really.
Right. Yeah, and we've worked together for what, 2 years now?
2 years.
2024.
Yeah, I think I fired you, twice or so many times?
At least.
We're going to get into
Me and
that.
Skippy are competing for number of firings.
Yeah, we're going to definitely get into the challenges of decision making when it comes to this and how each time you've somehow been right each time. But here we go again. What is a business coach?
So before I got into this, we ran a family business. My dad started it. And we sold that business in 2021. I thought, what do I want to do with my life? And we did a lot of things well, but we made a lot of mistakes along the way. So I'm like, what can I do that I can help teach other people the things that we did well, but also to learn from our mistakes? And I didn't really understand what business coaching was until somebody introduced me to it. And even when I got started, I don't think I understood what a coach was. You know, it's like I have to show up and I got to give you all the answers because that's what I was used to in business is like I'm the guy that when they have a question, I have to have the answers. And coaching is really not that at all. It's to help guide you so that you come to the answers and the conclusions yourself. And one of the biggest things is just, you know, it's like a basketball coach, football coach. I mean, they're not playing the game. A fitness coach, they're not lifting the weights, they're not eating the food, but they sometimes can see what you can't see because I don't have the emotion in the business. They're not my employees. It's not my business. So I can help, you know, challenge you, ask you difficult questions so that ultimately you make those decisions that you're capable of running the business that you want to create. So if you're a $3 million business and you want to become a $30 million business, my job as the coach is to help you with the tactical skills, but also the mindset needed to get you there.
The mindset is and that is probably one of the most difficult things that I have faced through this whole thing is this mindset shift from looking at things so small to trying to just step back and see the big picture and make a decision not that just affects right now, but affects things next year and the year and the year after. And it's funny you mentioned how it's not about bringing the answers because in the beginning when we first got together, I remember going to you like, hey, what do I do in this situation? And I think your response would always be something like, well, what would you do in this situation? And you're like, what are some options?
Yeah.
And then we would talk about these options. Okay, well, what would happen? I almost had to be taught how to think beyond what was actually happening right there. I mean, I think you would agree. In the 2 years we've worked together, have you noticed a mindset shift in me from
110%. You know, that's the interesting thing is like we don't often see the growth in ourselves because it's happening slowly. You know, it's day to day. It's like looking at yourself in the mirror. You don't see the change. But when I look at and I sit back and I go, what was it like 2 years ago when I met you guys? It's night and day. Both from your business, but also from you personally and professionally. Yeah, completely different in a good way.
Yeah, there was a stubbornness in the beginning, and I think I in the position we're in now, I get to talk to a lot of people. I mean, you know, we started the school program. You're in that school program as well. with small business guys, and the stubbornness that I had is very common. I notice it a lot. The mindset of I can do it all. No one can do it better than me. This is it's all on me or no one else. And that goes back to just being an employee my whole life, because as an employee, I was giving a task
Right.
from my boss. My boss said, "Here's the task. I need you to do this and make sure you get this accomplished." And that's what I tunnel vision, right? I zoomed in on that and I made sure I was the best at it. That brings me even to when we think about the tasks within our business now, welding, running the laser tables, all of that stuff are tasks that have to happen, but they can consume me as the business owner if I get caught up in that, and then I'm not working on the things that I need to work on that's going to help propel the business forward.
Yeah.
And you catch that a lot as well. Like you'll we've had conversations before where you're like, "Oh, you operated the laser all day today?" Well, yeah, so and so was out. I couldn't this and that, and then the challenge becomes, okay, well, how do we prevent that from happening in the future,
Right.
and changing that mindset to think about the future? Like, okay, we can't let this happen again.
Well, and the mindset really stems from, you know, not to get like all therapy wise, but it stems from how we were raised and what our relationship was with, say, a business or with money. In my personal situation, my dad started a business the year I was born, and we didn't have much at all. Uh, we struggled financially for years, and I remember, my mom would travel to different grocery stores because milk was 4 cents cheaper at this grocery store. And then she would go get her eggs somewhere else. And what was interesting is that mindset got carried into our business of like, oh, we gotta save every chance we can. But what it costs in gas to go get that save 4 cents on milk, and we started to carry that into our business. But that's what we knew. Like that's how we were raised, and that's how they knew. So we brought that into business, and until you're made aware of those mindsets, you think it's totally normal. And so I mean, I'm still working on those things in my life where it's like I want to pinch pennies here, but by saving $10, it's costing me 100.
Yeah.
And just being aware of that.
Yep. And it happens to us all the time. Here, I'll catch myself just saying, "Oh, well, I can just go and do this and go do that." I could save $1
Yep.
if I don't hire a guy to do this task, and I do it myself. But by me doing that task, I feel busy, and this leads into
Yeah.
you had told me something in the beginning, like, just because you're busy doesn't mean you're productive.
Right.
And man, you want to talk about a powerful thing to say, because do you know how easy it is for me to be busy in this shop and not really move the needle at all? And for you as a business coach, do you ever get yourself in a situation where you're working with someone and you just want to go up to them and be like, "Dude, listen to me," like grab them by the throat and say, "No, don't do it this way." But if you do it at the wrong time, it leads, because that's how we've ran into some pushback, you and I
Right.
ourselves.
Yeah, and I think the longer I do this, the less I care, and the more blunt I'm probably getting. Um, I've been a people pleaser my whole life, which makes being a coach hard because you can't. I'm not trying to be their friend, and I want to be their friend, but that means sometimes telling them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear, which sucks.
Yep.
But and I have to be okay with them getting upset at me, firing me, whatever it is, because I know deep down like that was the right thing that they needed to hear. How they take it, if they receive it then or if they receive it 6 months from now, like that's okay. Because yeah, it's not that I have all the answers or I'm the biggest expert. It's when you're not inside the business, we always say you can't read the label from inside the jar, right? Like
Right.
you can't see things because you're tied up in the emotion where I don't have that. It's just like, oh, I see what's happening. And sometimes the best thing we can do is this is what we're seeing.
Yep. One one of the things that really, which you just brought up here about the emotional side of this, and I want to get into like when is the right time to hire a business coach,
Right.
but the emotion, and this is the weird one, the emotion is what makes us make the wrong decisions as business owners. We get tied to, well, this was grandpa's old tool.
Yep.
This shop has history in it. I started in this shop. I hired my best friend to help me do these tasks, and then sometimes the shop isn't the right shop.
Right.
The tool that you're using isn't the right tool. The employee that you have isn't the right employee, but they're really nice and they're a good friend, but they're not helping the business as its own entity. And that separating the emotion
Yeah.
is hard when you're just by yourself.
So hard.
And that's where the business coach comes in. And the business coach is like, nope, it's not working. Here it is. Oh, no, but man, look, when I was really sad one time, they were there for me. And I want to be there for them. Okay, but it's not helping your business. Yes, it is. Yes, it'll. Josh, we've had these arguments.
Yeah.
And at what point, this mindset shift, do you think is the right time for someone to say, I need a business coach? It's a hard question, I know.
Yeah, it's a hard question, and there's not really a right answer. There's probably different levels of coaches. For me, it's been somebody that's started their journey of being a business owner. They've had some success. I say success with friction, in that they've had some initial success, and all of a sudden they get to a point and they're like, man, I just can't go to that next level. I can make whatever it is, $1 million or $2 million, but I just can't go beyond that because everyone has their level of what we call incompetency. Elon Musk has a level of incompetency at which he cannot learn or grow anymore at his current state. His is much higher than yours and mine. But, for some people that's like they can brute force a business to 500,000. Some people can brute force it to 5 million, 10 million. But they hit this ceiling at which they hit a level of incompetency. So I say when somebody has started their journey, they found some success, but then they're like, man, I can't figure out how to go to that next step, or I can't figure out how to manage my team, or, whatever the issue is, and they realize that they need help.
Yep.
Where I struggle with people is the ones that don't realize that they need help, or they're unwilling to take feedback. Like, if you can't take critical feedback, business coaching won't work for you.
Yep.
You have to be willing to say, like, I'll just use golf for an example. I'm going to hire you to be my golf coach, and I want you to tell me what's wrong with my swing. And if you don't want to hear the answer, then don't hire a coach.
Right.
But feedback is the most powerful tool in business, from our employees, from our customers, from a coach, you name it.
Yep.
If you can be willing to put our pride and our ego aside and say, show me what I can't see, like, that is a powerful place to be.
And that is the most powerful thing you said so far today was show me what I can't see, because I'm in it. I am right smack dab in the middle of it. I mean, the mud's on my face, covering my eyes, and because I'm in the weeds, and you're constantly trying to pull us out of there. Like, hey, let your team handle this. Trust your team.
Yeah.
Build your team. Grow your team. All of those things, and sometimes we can't see it because we're in it. And that's where it really comes, the business coaching side comes to it. When was the right time? We met in 2024,
Yep.
right? And I know it was a hard question to answer, and we didn't really get the answer there. But I think Miranda and I carried this business to about $1 million in revenue on our backs. We just did it. We run it. We hired the wrong people. We were just hiring. We need help. We need help. We need help. There wasn't an idea of growth.
Right.
At the point we were in, we were just trying to fulfill the orders and make sure our customers were happy. Like, that was it. That was the main goal. Like, that's what I thought we needed. But we kind of capped out. We really did. Now we're pushing $5 million in revenue 2 years late, basically after you did it. Now, I'm not going to give you all the credit now, Josh. Now,
I wanted just a little bit.
I'm not going to give you all the credit.
No.
But when it comes to the right time, someone would maybe consider hiring a business coach. Their mindset definitely has to be a little more open. And sometimes you have to hit that wall of, like, nothing else is happening.
Yeah.
Like, what's next? What do I do next? And then that's where you stepped in.
Yeah, it's really funny in our world, and we've talked about this in the school community, right? Like, who's your ideal customer? What do they look like?
Yep.
What do they wear? How much money do they make? What occupation are they in? So I get asked that question, like, who's my ideal client? Like, how big are they? And some coaches have, like, hey, I only coach $10 million businesses. And for me, it's not that. Like, and it's not industry specific. It's really about the right person.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a nice person, not that you always have to be nice, but, like, you're a genuinely good, ethical person, and you want to grow, I don't care how big you are. Like, I've partnered up with small businesses because I believe in what they're doing. I believe that with my help, they can get exponential growth and a huge return on investment. But the biggest thing I see that disqualifies somebody from being a good client is a know-it-all mindset.
Yep.
Like, if they have that, I'll point it out, but unless they're willing to change, it's not worth their time or my time to work together.
Yep.
The know-it-all mindset will kill growth.
If we would have met you in during COVID, 2022, 2023, well, we did meet in kind of the end of 2023, but my mindset would not have allowed you to be, it wouldn't have worked. I was way too stubborn. I was somewhat arrogant in, I've built this. I mean, once you do $1 million in revenue, that's a little bit of pride.
Because from what you came from, you never dreamed of $1 million.
Oh gosh, never. I mean, that number was not even achievable.
What was the goal you had, like, when you set out, like, we're going to start this business and
I want to pay the bill.
pay the bills? I mean, how many people start a business with that goal in mind?
That is it. Whatever it was, I feel like I was a really good employee. Someone gave me a task or gave me a job to do. I would do that job and I would do it well. And but I hated working for other people. I didn't like working for other people because there was a thing in my mind, like, I can do better, I can do better, I can do better. I didn't know what better was.
Right.
But in my mind, it's like, man, if I could start a business today, and if that business could bring in $100,000 a year, and I could keep some of that money, I feel like that would be successful, right? I'm home every day. I'm making my own decisions. I'm making enough money to support my family, and everything would be great. Everything was going to be good. Well, we started to do that. And then there was no money. It's like, okay, what am I doing wrong? Oh, I know the answer because I know what I used to do. You just got to work hard. I got to work more hours.
More hours in.
Because if I put in more hours, I can make more money. Because that's what you do at work.
Yep.
If I could put in, and I have the opportunity to make that decision. I decide, hey, I can work 18-hour days. I can work 20-hour days. And no one can tell me, no, hey, we can't work this much overtime. We can't do that. Unfortunately, that didn't work either. It just
Yeah.
it we got to a point of burnout, and it was right around that mark of revenue. If you would have came to me, I couldn't have afforded you. There was my mindset wouldn't have allowed me
You
to.
believed you couldn't have afforded me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What?
You believed you couldn't have afforded
You
me.
know, when that sticker shock of no, what? Absolutely not.
We even run into that now with the school community, right?
Yep. And
Like,
that
I can't afford that per month.
yep.
And you and I are like, you can't afford not to.
Yep.
And I think that's the biggest thing is like helping people understand, and that's the mindset shift of
Yep.
business coaching is there's a cost to it, but anything in business that we are spending our money on has to be looked at it as an investment. So if I spend this on coaching, I need to get this return, or if I
Right.
spend this on this school community, like what's it going to save you? That's the question, and that's a mindset
Right.
that's so hard to break in people that have never owned a business, they've not been raised in that, and they have that employee mindset. They look at it as just cost.
Yep. And that is one of the reasons I started the school community, and it's one of the reasons I went to you first about it. It's like, hey, this is what I would like to do. We've reached a point in our business where it's not a matter of affording you. It's like we need that guy challenging us. But how can I offer this to people that follow us? We have a large following. A lot of our following are business owners, small business owners.
Yep.
And when I think of a small business, I think of 10 million or less probably is probably that revenue range. As little as 50,000
Right?
in revenue. That's that small business, And a lot of guys wouldn't spend the money on a business coach because of that cost. I said, well, let's do it for $99 a month. And I remember you looked at me like, what? And I was like, yeah, it's not about the money.
Yeah.
We got to pay the bills, and we got to keep people that maybe aren't ready for it out. Like, so it's $99, and they have access to you. They have access to me. They have access to a lot of people in our community that bring a lot to the table. And that was a big idea in the beginning was how can we make this, is the word affordable to those that aren't quite ready yet or don't
Don't even know. Like, they don't
yeah.
even have a concept. Like, how do we reach the people who were you in 2018, 2019?
right.
Because I think that's the challenge of social media, right? People see what you've built here.
Yep.
And I've had, the firsthand experience, at least over the last 2 years, to see it be built and see behind the scenes. But a lot of people go, oh, you guys got it all together. You're just making millions of dollars. You're just, living the high life. And they don't see the struggles. And so social
No.
media, I know you're a believer in it, and that's what built this business.
Yep.
But also has a negative side, too, where people look at it and go, you got it all together.
Yep.
And rather than people lean into that, they shut down.
Yep.
So that's the powerful thing of the community is let's all be real and vulnerable. Everyone's struggling with the same stuff.
Right.
And I think, yeah, while I'm in the community and your marketing guys in the community and a lot of others, sometimes the other just businesses can bring more value. I mean, you can see issues in my business that I can't see.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not even that anybody's an expert.
Yeah.
It's just we're opening ourselves to scrutiny
Yep.
from one another to say, like, hey, Jason, let me show you what I see in your business. And you can look at my social media, you can look at my website and say, hey, I do all these things differently.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And I've noticed, and you would have more experience this with me, but I've noticed, like, from just founders, the conversations are different from the guy that owns the welding repair shop and he's by himself in there and his whole mindset is, I charge by the hour.
Yep.
The more hours I work, the more money I make, and not even realizing that he's capping himself at his ability. He could be the best welder in the world. How do you get that guy to understand, hey, you're the best welder in the world? You can do a lot better by teaching people that you hire in your business to probably do 80% of what you're capable of. Not only are you bringing them up to a different level, but it's freeing you up to work on things that are going to bring your business up to a
Just had
different.
that conversation with Monty.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Shout out to Monty if he's listening.
Monty, shout out, man. We're not trying to pick on you here.
We'll change his name.
Yeah.
But we have these conversations where you win the work. We call it the teeter-totter. You win the work, you do the work. You win the work, you do the work. And when you're doing the work, you're not winning more work.
Yep.
When you're delivering, when you're welding, when you're doing all these other things like fulfilling that order.
Yep.
Gosh, what if that's 50% of your time? So you're selling for 50%, and then you're welding
Fulfilling.
or shipping or fulfilling for 50%. Could you double your business if that was only 10% of? And they're like, absolutely. So it's like, well, then we got to hire somebody.
Yeah.
And it's this mindset that you went into it of like, I'm going to go create a job for myself. And so many people do that, of like, they create a job for themselves.
And get paid less than their actual job.
Yeah. They find out like, wow, I got to pay self-employment tax and the government.
That self-employment tax is an eye-opener, man.
Everything.
That will. Yeah, that's a subject all in itself.
Guys don't even know that, right?
Yep.
They start a business and they think I make 100,000, I get to keep 100,000, then
Yep.
they walk away with
Yep.
breaking even or losing, and they're like,
Or
how did
probably
that happen?
losing. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of times. Well, we really talked about the mindset and all of that, and I think that leads into the next one. You kind of brought it up there. Let's get a little deeper and a little more specific on things I think that guys struggle with. And the first one's going to be, when is it time to hire your first employee? I have my experience that I will definitely share, but as a business coach, there's a time when you probably start working with someone and maybe they don't have an employee yet. When do you say, this is what we do, this is what we should do, and this is how we start doing it? Because some people don't even know how to properly hire someone to begin with.
Right. And that's a whole other conversation. It's like, when do you hire, and then how do you hire? I think it really is looking at the business opportunity. Like, we ask people, like, what's your conversion rate? And guys are like, oh, I'm winning 75 to 90% of my bids or quotes that I put out there. So it's like, so if you put more bids and quotes out there, do you think you would get more work? And they're like, well, absolutely, but I can't fulfill it. Like, probably a sign that you should be hiring. Like, I'm not too far removed to say, like, when you start out, it is about grit. It is about winning the work and doing the work. Like, don't get me wrong.
Right.
It isn't like all of a sudden you need to hire 5
Right.
people, hire a business coach, and like, I recognize, like, you got to start.
Yep. You got to carry it on
gotta
your
cut
back
your
to a
teeth.
level.
You do. But sometimes we carry it a lot further than we need to.
Yep.
Before we realize, like, man, if I truly just hired somebody, because you have this job, you've created a job, but you have no security, right? Like, if you're not working, you're not getting paid. And what I tell people is, there's a huge risk to that. Like, if you were employed before, you probably had insurance, all these things that, like, if you weren't working, you were probably getting paid or,
Yep.
something. And now it's like, if you get hurt, money doesn't come in,
Yeah, 100%.
which is a huge risk. So it's like, how do we risk-proof the business as soon as possible? So if you're seeing success in sales, if your customers are happy, and you're converting at a high rate, hire somebody.
Fine.
And, probably the big thing is even understanding debt. People are very afraid of debt based on how, that was me. Like, I was use cash for everything. Don't
Yep.
take on debt. Debt is bad. But there are times where if you know that the business is going to grow,
Yep.
and if you get that tool or if you get that person, like, then I can fulfill. Say, if I hire this person for $50,000 a year and I know that I can get $150,000 more in revenue, why wouldn't you do it? And if that means taking on some debt temporarily, do it. Or figure out what kind of cushion you need to afford that person,
Right.
and then you just put yourself in a place like, I have to make this work.
Right.
It's amazing, when we force ourselves to be uncomfortable, we'll rise to the occasion. Like, if you bring on that, I mean, you guys had that story, right? Like, where you brought on your first employee.
Yep.
You're going to find a way to make it work.
Yep.
And make it successful.
I mean, we even hit a situation with our first employee where we didn't know if we were going to make payroll, and I found a way because I overdid the social media. Looking back, I should have done more, but I said, if we post content and people can relate to it and people enjoy our content, we seem to find more customers that way. And when that situation happened, that's exactly what I did. I was like, wow, how can we generate more sales? And we found a way to do it, and it ended up working out. But I think we knew it was time to hire when I could no longer keep up with the fulfillment.
Yeah.
And we went through the sell the work, do the work, right? So what I would do is I would post content. I would make a video. That video would sell 55 rocket stoves, let's say. Well, now I got to build those 55 rocket stoves. So now I'm in the shop all week building, and we weren't posting content. And then we would fulfill those 55. All right, oh gosh, now we got to make more content and do it. There's a whole other story. I think that's episode 1 about when we first hired Abby.
Yeah.
And how it changed, because now Abby was just doing all the welding. I just had to make sure that I had things for her to weld. And then that's when we really focused onto social media, and we started to see growth immediately because we knew what sold it, but we were trapped on the teeter top.
Right.
The sell it.
Do the work.
Yeah, sell it, do it.
I think people got to know what they want. And so many people are in your position where they're like, I'm going to start a business to provide a job for myself. Say people start businesses for more time, money, and freedom, and then they find out they have less time, they have less money, and they have less freedom than they ever did.
Absolutely.
But they succeeded at their goal.
Yeah.
Right. Their goal was to provide a job. I'm making enough to survive, and I meet so many people, and they will never go beyond that because that was their goal. So part of my job as a coach is to help you see, like, okay, what do you want? What do you want in the next 10 years, 30 years? Like, what do you want your kids' life to be like? Do you want them to do what you did, or do you want to set them up for success? College is expensive. What do you need? So really figuring out, like, what is the end goal? How old are you? Like, how long do you want to work? And then figuring out that plan, because that's going to determine should you hire somebody. If you want to just create a job and you never want to make more than what you do now, then do that. But a lot of people, if they want that time, money, and freedom, the only way to get there is by hiring people. But it's a challenge. And if you don't have that goal so ingrained in your mind of, like, this is what I want to get to, then people quit along the journey because, like, okay, I'm going to hire Abby. Oh, well, Abby doesn't know how to weld. So now I got to take time to train her. And when I'm not, now I'm training her, I should have just done the work myself. And if you don't have that goal of, like, I want to build this business and I want to have this freedom, then it feels like a waste of time versus, like, I know where I want to go and I know I have to sacrifice my time and energy to invest in Abby because I know she and the others beyond her are my way for freedom.
Yep. Well, the thing with Abby is we needed someone to weld, so we hired a welder. And when we first hired Abby, she was making more than I was.
Yeah.
But I was willing to make that sacrifice because she could weld. She could weld better than I could.
Wow.
And it was like, I remember, like, we have to have her here. We have to have her doing what she's doing. I had a conversation the other day with another business owner, and he's backtracking now. He's thinking about getting rid of his employees because he's like, I'm just better off doing the work. And he has like 4 employees, but they're the wrong employees, and it's like, well, what you're paying those 4, you could probably pay 2 the right people, so you could pay more.
Yeah.
Do you want 7 1-foot jumpers or 1
7 foot.
7-foot jumper. Like Ryan Miller had brought up in that in the last podcast of once he started looking at that, he noticed because now he's got leaders in all of his departments because that's exactly what he was looking for. And for us, it was the sacrifice. I sacrificed my pay for that person because there was a bigger picture. It's like I wanted this business to grow, and I want to be able to step away from it at some point. We're 7 years in business, and we are just now, I would say 2026. We're finally in a position where we can leave for a month. We can leave for 2 weeks or 3 weeks for whatever, and the shop manages well. The marketing stays strong. Everything can function without us being here.
Don't you feel bad about that?
No, that's
You would have.
yeah.
You would have early on, right? Because a mindset is like, if I'm not here,
Yeah.
gosh, I see that so much of like, a lot of times employees or owners can leave, but they don't because they're like, if I'm not here in the trenches with my team, then they're going to think I'm, because I think you thought that about your boss,
Oh,
right? Like he's
100.
never around.
100%.
We're doing all the work. We're making all the money. So how did you overcome that?
I got to tell you, Josh. So one time, I forget, we were swapping heads on a 3516. I think we were doing everything on this thing.
It's a 3560.
It's a Caterpillar engine.
Okay.
Well, it's a 16-cylinder engine, okay, and it's got each cylinder has a head, and I mean it's pretty common to drop valves on these engines. They run 24/7, so you got to do a head job and it's so easy, like you could just knock it out. Well, sometimes you go in and you're doing like some preventative maintenance, and sometimes it requires you're pulling heads and replacing heads. And I remember our boss, Brian, had pulled up in his truck, and the air conditioning was blowing. This is South Louisiana. We got tarps up and fans. I mean, it's hot, we're working. And he pulled up, and I said, man, that air conditioning must be nice, that attitude. Mm-hmm. That was my mindset back then. You ain't in here with the trenches. You ain't. I've learned. I know now what he was doing. So Brian, if you happen to listen to this episode, I apologize for being a smart ass a lot of times. And I did have that mentality walking through here, especially now with the guys doing the welding and all of that stuff. Or I did, I should say, where there's no respect. I'm the guy, I got the air conditioning blowing in the truck. But we've created a culture here where I think they understand what is happening and they see it. And we pay well. And we want to take care of our team, and those are all the important parts of it to get to where I'm at now, to where we can leave this business. I mean, Josh, you remember, wasn't it 4 years ago? As easy as 4 years ago, if Miranda and I left for a week, we came back and it was chaos. I mean, chaos. It was.
You don't even enjoy your time away.
No, it's like everything would fall apart while we were gone. And it was because they couldn't see beyond, they couldn't see beyond what was happening, and totally different now, but it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, so you've had to adjust like who you hire, but also you guys have adjusted too, where, before you probably just, if they can't do it, you'll lean in and do it for them, right?
Always.
And I think now you guys are learning the importance of building processes and procedures. I remember the first time we talked about SOPs of like, why do I got to do that? But it's building it so that you can have that freedom to get away.
Yep, no doubt.
But, so it's, when you look at the growth, it's, you've grown, therefore you've trained your people better, or you've brought on the right people. And, I love the sayings like, what got us here won't get us there.
Yeah.
And sometimes that is like the people of like, we either need to coach them up or coach them out. And can they like grow with us because you guys are growing. And sometimes you find that there's people, I think you said it, like I hire my cousin or my nephew or my brother or my friend or my neighbor just because they're
available. And that's the worst.
And sometimes those people are great
Yep.
if they are willing to adjust their mindset along with the business, right? So we were a $50,000 business. We're now a $3 million business. Are you willing to learn and grow to go to that next step with us? And some people are, and you need to keep them and invest in them because those are beautiful stories. I feel like I'm that story of like, I wasn't qualified to do anything, but somebody believed in me and gave me a chance, and I chose to learn and grow with it. But sometimes you got to make the hard decision to say like, hey, I love you, man, but like,
You're not a fit.
you're not a fit, which is hard.
Yep, absolutely. We've discussed, we've talked about hiring, and then the next question I get a lot, and you kind of touched on it in here, was debt. And because a lot of people that we talk to is we don't have the finances or that liquid to just go buy a brand new laser table for $100,000. Yeah, we have it in the bank, but I got payroll I still got to make, and I still got to do all of these things. For us, we were blowing up at the seams. Like we could not. We had 19 employees, and the old shop.
Yeah.
It was unsafe. The work was there, but we were no longer performing. I mean, our employee ratio, Miranda might be able to, when we were working at the old shop, we had ran all our numbers a while back. I think our employee cost was like 30%, 32% of 35% of our revenue.
Wow.
We
All
were
the material you got to buy and everything else to keep it running.
we were operating though 35% of our revenue was labor because of we had no systems, zero systems. I mean, we were taking product from one shop, going to another shop, and then bringing back to another shop.
I don't think it's. I got to see the shop, but I don't think people understand like the different buildings, and you had to like plow snow, or you'd have a forklift stuck in mud over here, and
It was a nightmare.
it's amazing.
And there was no systems in place, and there was no one in the business that even understood what systems were or how to implement systems. Like that was one of the. I think that's why you got so much pushback from me. Like, what's an SOP? What do you mean? What do you mean that is?
I really have to have something that tells people to turn off the lights at the end of the day, or
Yeah.
fill up the
forklift.
the forklift with diesel. Like, yes, we do.
But so I mean, now we have an SOP station, and it's funny because I see guys go to that thing all the time, and if that station wasn't there, you know where they would be, right?
To you.
I would be in a business meeting somewhere, and my phone would be going off like crazy in my pocket, like it used to, And
Speaking of your phone, you used to have your website. If you'd call the number on your website, went to your personal cell
went
phone.
to my personal cell phone,
That was 2 years ago.
and that, how stubborn I was to get rid of that because man, remember that if they call here, they're talking to me. Well, buddy, I mean, how many emails?
Could you imagine, like, those are the things where people are like, I can't afford this, or I can't, like, those simple changes.
Right.
It seems small, right? Like,
Right.
what does it cost for the phones? It's pretty reasonable
Yep.
to get these phone systems now. But, like, imagine where you would be today if every phone call that came through the business came to you. Like, that bottleneck in itself.
No, you can't keep track of the orders. Like you can't. It's not
that
possible.
could be a multi-million-dollar,
Yeah.
like, if you're so stubborn to not let the phones go to anybody else, you're not a $5 million business.
Oh no, there's no way.
You're probably,
No way.
way less than that, and then the customers are getting unhappy because now they can't get a hold of you.
Yep.
You're dropping the ball. Things are falling through the cracks. So it's like, yeah, they want Jason, but, like, they're not going to be happy if they get Jason
Yeah.
because their orders aren't
Yep.
going to make it.
Nope. I'm gonna forget. I spend so much time scheduling or trying to put things in the schedule. Yeah, we can do that. It's little things like that. It goes back to the whole point of this. It's a mindset thing because in my mind, it's like I want to talk to every single one of my customers, but the value now is that I'm not talking to every one of them, but they get a better experience with Chiasson Smoke as a business whole. And even when things don't go well, because that happens too, they get a better experience because of the culture we built. If it's going to be a refund or a new product, if it was me on the phone all the time, there's no way. They'd probably never get me.
Right.
It would. Yeah. So little things like that have definitely changed. Getting back to the debt thing, we were blown at the seams, and I remember going to you, hey, there's a building, dude, Miranda and I can buy a new house, for $500,000, or there's a shop available for $500,000. And I remember a lot of other people came in, we look at all the numbers, we just really had to make that decision if moving on with debt for the business was the right choice. And come to find out, it was the right choice for us. We would not have scaled the way we have scaled if we were still in that old shop.
Right.
And it's a combination of everything: the employees, getting the right team members, getting the right shop to get all the work done, having the right business coach. Now we got all of this. Okay, we got a good shop now. We have a person on our team that is picking up 70 to 80% of the workload of the task, and we trust them, and we're building a culture. Now, how do we let the world know we're here? And then that's where social media worked in for us, and then that was the marketing side. So as the business owner, my task shifted from doing the welding and the cutting and the phone calls, trying to make the sales on the phone, to now, here we go, we're going to market this product, and now my task is making videos every day. And in our school group especially, I think it's one of the hardest things a lot of these guys face is putting the efforts into the marketing side of the business. If anyone asked me today, if you would start over tomorrow, what would you do different? Oh, I would market way differently. I would go hardcore. I would avoid the teeter-totter.
But you're a diesel mechanic.
Yeah.
You didn't know marketing.
No,
right?
not at all.
You weren't. And so many people think, oh, I can go do it better than my boss, or I can go start my own business because I'm a good welder, I'm a good mechanic, I'm a good fence builder, whatever the thing is. And then they go, oh, but how do you get customers? And how do you quote it? And how do you price a job? And they realize, like, there's that book, The E-Myth Revisited, where they talk about this entrepreneurial seizure.
Yep.
And that's when somebody's a good client for me, is they've had their seizure. But the seizure is like, I can do this better. I'm going to go start a business because I can weld, because I can build, because I can whatever.
Yep.
And then they realize, like, I know nothing about bookkeeping. I know nothing about sales. I know nothing about marketing. So, like,
hiring, firing,
all these things. And that's why you hire business coaches, because there's aspects you know.
Yep.
And I can't teach you how to be a welder, but I can teach you all the other aspects and help you grow in that. So that should have been my pitch before. That's why you hire a coach, because everyone has a gap. Or they're really good at sales and marketing, but they don't understand operations and systems or things like that. So everyone has a gap. So find somebody with that knowledge that can either teach you or you bring them into your business to fill that gap. Because to be a business owner, you really need to be a jack of all trades. You need to have a general understanding of all aspects of the business.
Yeah, you do.
So you didn't really understand marketing when you came in. Like, what changed for you? Because this is before you and I met. You've already been marketing, and we're pretty good at it. When you
it was desperation, and that's the story I tell everyone. I mean, I was getting my job back. I had called my boss and said, hey, it's not working here. You got to understand, there were months where we brought in $2,500 and our bills were $4,500. It wasn't working. It was not working. And Miranda was she wasn't against social media per se, but TikTok was the thing at the time, and everybody was dancing on TikTok.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was, a dancing
And
app.
and I'm like, man, I'm just gonna start posting content. And one of the first videos that did really well for us on TikTok was a rocket stove video talking about why we stopped painting our rocket stoves. And the reason we stopped painting our rocket stoves was because a lot of the reviews we were getting on eBay were used it 4 times, paint's peeling off because it would burn the sides. And I said, well, you know what? They're right. First of all, the solution to this is way overboard of what I could afford at the time. I couldn't. The other option is, hey, it's raw steel. You can season it the same way I season mine, and this is what the results are, and this is how I'm going to offer it. There was no other option. People realized that, and they saw that, and that video made a bunch of sales. And I said, okay, I need to start posting more videos. And that's how that journey started. It's a little different back then on social media than it is now, because everything we did was organic. Everything. Now we run paid ads. Paid ads are powerful when you get the right creative.
Yep.
And if you have the right creative, they do well for any business. The hard part is the creative.
Right.
Fortunately for us, we had enough experience from all the mistakes we made making organic content that we had videos that have performed well. So we had an idea what was engaging and what people like to see. And we've kind of tried to follow that along with sharing our story.
Your story.
The biggest thing I've learned through this is, and people that are really emotional about their business push back against this when I say sales are everything. Without sales, sales solve so many problems. And that's hard for people to accept, especially when you're emotionally tied to it, especially when you're like a stubborn, just a welder that's like, I'm the best welder in the world. Cool, bro. But, you're putting 60, 70 hours in a week doing all of this work, and the job's over. Now what's next? Oh, now you got to try to find more work, and you're never going to walk away from that business. Go on vacation. Take a 2-week vacation somewhere. Let's say you have a good month. Go ahead and take your 2-week vacation. That 2-week vacation, no money's coming in.
Right.
Nothing's coming in.
Right.
And that's why we never had vacations. That's why we worked 20-hour days. I
remember I had you guys fill out this questionnaire before I brought you on as a client. I don't remember what the number said, but it said like how many hours a week do you work? I don't remember. What did it say? It was like 120 or so. I don't know.
it was
I'm not mathing today, but I'm like, that's 17 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
I'm like, is this for a week or for a month? And you're like, oh, it's a week.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's the first thing we need to change because you will burn out. Like, that is not sustainable. And you guys have gotten a lot better. You still work too much, but
yeah,
that's part of it, right?
I don't know. We've gone through some burnouts. I mean, Miranda and I have had big arguments, big fights, all based on burnout because you're just so done.
Well, that's the stuff nobody talks about, right?
And
like, you don't see that.
Yeah, you're just so done. You can't carry it by yourself. Like I said, we carried it to about $1 million in revenue, but that $1 million in revenue, we were lucky to finish the year about 10%. Lucky.
Yeah.
Just because we were carrying everything and we had to pay for so much stuff because of all the mistakes that we were making. I call it the learning. We were paying to learn it.
Yeah.
And looking back on that, it's like, wow, I could have hired the right person at that time, and I bet you that number would have been way better. It could have been way better. So the pushback is sales. Like I say, sales are everything. Without sales, there's nothing there. The pushback is no, I'm good. Marketing.
But then at some point, you and I have had this conversation, then culture comes into play.
Yep.
right? Because you can have all these great sales and you can be a rocket ship, but then all of a sudden you have a terrible team with bad attitudes that doesn't take care of your customers. Then now the sales you're getting, you can't fulfill them, or the customers aren't happy, and then all of a sudden,
Yep.
So it's like this balance of keeping the foot on the gas for sales, but at some point learning how to build culture. I think it's Warren Buffett says, culture will eat strategy for breakfast.
Oh,
So it's like this balance, right? We got to sell, but then how do we build a culture that can sustain it? So it's
Yep.
not just flash in the pan.
yep. And I think that's going to lead us into, we've talked about some really good stuff here, and the things that as a business coach has helped us. One being the systems, for sure. As simple as turn the lights off when you leave. Is implementing all of the systems. Second is hiring and like you understand that you have to delegate. You have to at least get people up to that's 80% of what you're able to do as the owner. You need the marketing. Sales are everything in my mind. You have to have the sales. And now let's talk culture. Like you brought it up here. That is so hard because how do you for us, how do you get a group of people to understand where you're going and how you plan on getting there when you don't even have the fucking plan yet, I think we could beep that out, right? I was a little emotional right there. But that was I knew I wanted to create a business that gave back to a community, offered jobs to the community. I could host events, but where were we going? Like, what was the plan? Like, where? And then how do you build this team? And it was very easy. You create a mission statement. You create core values. And I think a lot of business owners now, if you ask them right now, what's your mission statement? I don't have one. What are your core values? Well, I mean, be nice to people. Once you establish that and get that figured out, when I'm able to take it out of my head and put it down and have other people to understand it, it makes it easier to steer the ship.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, remember our core values? Sometimes people will come ask me a question about something that's a little deeper. Maybe it's personal stuff they're dealing with at home or whatever it may be. And it's easy to say, our core values, that's not how we would want to handle this. Yeah. And once your team starts to understand that, and then they decide if they want to follow that mission and be part of those core values, that's when you start seeing the difference. So my advice to anyone right now is, as you're in this business and you're going through all this and you hire your first employee, that first one, have those core values and that mission statement. This is something that you stay up at night. You don't stay in the shop late being busy welding on something. You stay up late at night when everyone else is sleeping and really get deep into your head and say, what am I doing here? And where am I going with this?
And that's a mindset shift because it's, the working on or in the business,
Yep.
right? The sitting down, thinking about the fluffy, warm and fuzzy stuff doesn't, when you have that employee mindset, doesn't seem valuable.
No, waste of time.
It's like it's a waste of time. I should be welding. I'm sitting here writing my mission statement or my vision or my points of culture. But like, man, if you want that time, money, and freedom in the end, like you have to have it.
Yeah.
And you should do it before you hire that person.
Yep.
Because if you're a single entrepreneur and now you're one of two. That person is 50% of the foundation of the business.
Yeah.
And if they're a horrible cultural fit,
Yep.
not only is it 50%, but typically, people fall. Versus, if you're around a toxic person, you're probably not going to change them. they're probably going to change you.
Yep.
And they're going to pull you down. So now it's not just 50%, but now you're less productive, you're less enthusiastic, you're less, hungry to go out and get sales because you're around a draining person all day.
Yep.
So I think it's hire for the skill, but man, skill can be trained.
Yep.
And we're in an area where, and this is, I hear this, doesn't matter if you're in rural middle of nowhere Wisconsin or in a big city, but good people are hard to find. Hire for the attitude. If they have the right attitude, we can teach them how to weld. We can teach them how to assemble. But man, it's pretty hard to change a bad attitude and bad behavior coming into it. And that has such a effect on the culture. I think you guys have seen that, right?
I have a great story. This is an extreme story. It's sometimes culture is just it can be work ethic sometimes, but we had a guy that would get upset and he would throw tools across the shop. Seriously.
Yeah.
He'd get upset. He did it. He wasn't bad at what he did. And say, hey man, this happened, because the team would get scared. There was a fear factor there. He would get so emotional. And one day it happened in the shop, and I was in the shop when he had done it. And I went and I talked to him, hey man, you can't throw and it was an immediate, yeah, okay. So that's what I did. That was my choice at that time when that happened. You think it fixed the problem? And the rest of the team saw that I allowed it to basically happen. So they assumed that was now the culture, and it became a problem.
Right. That what you tolerate becomes what you promote. So if you allow a behavior to happen, then we're promoting it.
Yep.
And it's amazing how quickly a culture can change if it's not managed.
Like that.
You
will have really good employees quit because they don't want to be around that.
Right.
And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier about the emotional attachment to things. This particular employee I considered a friend. I considered him a friend. I was like, oh yeah, man, yeah. We hung out, and it caused a lot of stress in our business because I allowed it. Even though I would talk to him and say, hey man, you got to get that under control. You got to handle that. Well, it got to the point where I had employees arguing in the shop. They thought it was okay.
Yeah.
They thought that was acceptable. But the culture had to change, and then the standards had to be set. And then that goes back to your values and everything else. When I was an employee, I didn't understand culture. I worked where I worked, and it was either bad or it was good. And I didn't understand that how the management was the main factor, or the owner or the founder was the main driver to what this culture was going to be, all based off of core values, and even the mission is that important.
Well, you got into this business welding spurs and then rocket stoves and fire pits, and so you think we're a welding business. And my dad taught me this many years ago, and it stuck with me. He's like, if you own a business, you're in the business of people.
It's all about people, isn't it?
It's all about people. And
customers.
So think where you started your journey of not understanding marketing. You knew how to weld and fix things, but where you've had to grow from understanding marketing, now understanding your finances, leading a team, culture, debt. We should go back and talk about debt. We didn't talk about debt, but all these things you've had to learn that you didn't know. And if you don't change your mindset of I know it all, I'm good enough, you would have been out of business.
Yep. And
6 years ago.
The craziest thing for me was there was not one person in my circle, in my group at the time, that could help me at that time. Everyone had worked for someone. I just didn't have. It just wasn't. It wasn't available, I guess, where it was. and that's one of the other reasons we had started this. I started the school group as well,
Yeah.
was to make this available. Yeah, we need to talk about debt again because that's a big question. Is when does someone decide to go into debt? We went into debt for this shop, for this building right here, and it was a blessing. We've scaled so much because of this shop. Everything is under one roof. We've gone from 19. So this is another thing, is we've gone from 19 employees to now we have 15, 11. Okay. Well, if you include the high school kids, but high school kids they just graduated.
And then summer help.
So we had 3 of them. We had 3 guys here that worked through us throughout the school year, and then so now we have 11 full-time employees, and we're putting out more than we've ever put out, and systems. So I'll give you that. You kind of made us look into systems. I'm trying to be, but it was systems. It was the risk of taking on the debt.
Yeah.
To say, I think we can do this. Of course, I had a lot of people around me saying, "Yep, this could work."
You got to have the plan, right? And
Yep.
and the projections and the.
You got to have your numbers. We had 3 years of P&Ls to look at, basically, and
You got to keep your books clean if you're going to want to get any sort of
yeah.
financing, whether it be
Yep.
private or
Yep.
through a bank.
And I'm so glad from the day we started, I wasn't going to be that guy that like, oh yeah, cash under the table and all that stuff. I didn't want to be that guy because there was a part of my mind that's like, no, I want this to be legit. I want this to be the deal. And when that time came, if we would have not had all of that information, there's no way we would have got the loan to buy this building.
Yeah, I saw this video on social media. It was like, how do I show the banks that I make 200,000, but the government that I make 0?
yeah. It's
It's great until you try to get a loan, and they're like, but
Yep.
you show you don't make any money. It's like,
you don't have any money.
so, and that's where people don't understand. They
Yeah.
want to sell their business or they want to get a loan, whatever the thing is, but they've not kept their books. It's like, that hurts.
Yep. Yeah,
Business isn't worth anything.
and I'm not sure why. It was whenever we first hired, is whenever we realized, hey, we probably need someone bookkeeping for us doing this type of thing. Miranda carried it for a really long time, which made it. But at some point too, we had to pull that off of the plate as well, and once that happened, it even gets better now because like even now, how easy it is. Every decision I make is based off of the numbers, right? So it's real easy now. I can ask questions and I get the answers. What were our sales last week? What were our expenses? Like what? Wait, well, how? Why this? And so if I had to throw anything out there, I would definitely say from the beginning, be legit with your bookkeeping, and it's gonna keep it real.
Right.
And you'll know, like, oh wait, I'm not making money on this product. Like, what am I doing? Or you're able to look at a product and say, how can I make this cheaper
Right.
in-house? What is making this product so expensive? And that was one of ours factors as well. What is making this product so expensive? Oh, we're cutting everything out with the bandsaw. And the bandsaw takes this long to cut it out. Well, how many of these products are we processing a year? This many. What does a tube laser cost? That much. I've got the real numbers here. This isn't made up fairy tale stuff. This is what it costs me. If we add this tool, this is what that tool can do. And those are real numbers as well because those processes are analyzed. Okay, this makes total sense.
Well, you got to know your numbers early on because it feels like you're making money, but then all of a sudden you can't hire somebody because you didn't build in the margin to add the overhead.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So that's the employee mindset. But let's go back to the debt for a minute. And this is not. We probably need to put a disclaimer like this is not financial advice.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
This is hardcore. Like just.
our perspective.
Yeah.
And debt, there's not a right or wrong answer.
Yep.
Some people shouldn't take on debt. If they don't know how to manage it,
Yeah.
don't take it on.
And that's why I had people behind me.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to have people behind you. But continue.
If you don't have a plan, and if you don't have like, there's more people I meet with that are like, because I'll meet with anybody. I love to just help, and even if I don't bring them on as a client, it's like I can give them some advice, and maybe they'll be ready for a coach, down the road. But man, I tell more people to shut their businesses down or not start a business because the plan doesn't support it.
Yep.
I want to build a coffee shop in this size town. Okay, what's a cup of coffee cost? What do you make on it? Okay, you would need 300 people to buy a cup of coffee each day, and you're in a town of 350 people.
Yep.
Is that realistic? Probably not. Maybe not the right plan. Maybe there's a different idea. But but with debt, I think where it clicked for me, and I grew up we were very poor growing up when we started the business, so my family did everything in cash. And my dad built his business really on cash, which is great if you can do it. But it clicked for me when I was buying my first car. I don't remember what it was. I mean, it was a big investment for me. It was like $10,000. I think it was my wife and I's first nice vehicle together. And I'm like, $10,000 is a lot of money right now. I don't know what I had, maybe $15,000 in the bank. So I'm going to drain
Yep.
almost my entire bank account to buy this vehicle in cash, or I could pay $250 a month. And I was betting on myself, like $250 a month is manageable. What's 10,000 in 5 years when I know that I'm going to be making this much? So it's like you use debt to allow you to invest in things that
Yeah.
if I would have drained my entire bank account, I couldn't have invested in other things.
Right.
So it's like there's good debt and there's bad debt. If you can go buy a laser machine for $100,000, man, that's a lot of money. But if that's going to make you $400,000,
Yep.
and it's going to cost you whatever per month, why wouldn't you do it?
Right.
So it's just like understanding the business plan and what can you get on the return.
Yep.
But you need to have your numbers in order to do that because, man, it takes so long to scale.
Yep.
How long would it take you to make $100,000 in profit to buy that in cash?
Yep.
That might be 10 years. Versus you take on that debt now, and that thing's allowing you to produce that profit. You might get there in 1 to 2 years.
Yep. I tell this story all the time. We bought that one right there. We bought it in July. We bought it before July, but it hit the floor in July. And from August to December, that laser machine, that's when we launched the hauler grill, our little portable charcoal grill. And it paid for itself in that fast. But we were at that time, we didn't buy that machine because we were going to launch the hauler grill. We had bought that machine because it was going to speed up the processes that we already had in place. So you gave the car example. I don't know if a car is a great example to go into debt with, but for some things, like for us with the tools in this shop, spending all that liquid cash on that tool in the beginning was not going to be the great option because I needed that money for payroll and everything else. And it definitely works out the same thing with the building. Yeah, so I think debt is part of business. Well, when you're growing, it's a tough subject, right? This isn't financial advice.
This is not financial advice
at all. But think of our steel. Like I order steel, right? I've got a 30-day on my steel, so I've got 30 days to pay it. So beginning of the month, I buy my steel.
Right.
I've got 30 days to pay it. So I got 30 days to get paid for all this steel that I order. But then I also got I got that American Express too. So I can carry that 30 days. Then I can pay the steel supplier with my card.
Get another 30 days.
I get another 30 days on that steel order per se. There's a flow to that. There's a system to that. It's a little more complicated than that. But now, really, it's not. Now I've got 60 days to make my money on that steel that I purchased.
Yep.
And then, of course, you just pay it all off in full. And I mean, we can have a $100,000 steel bill every month.
Right.
And that's a great way for us to manage that, to buy the steel, not have to spend you lose all of our liquid, make the sales that we need to make, hustle, make the sales, get the money for that material, and then pay the material.
But now that becomes really dangerous if you don't know your numbers and the cash flow.
Yep.
That's where going into debt and using credit cards and things can be very dangerous if you don't have that plan.
You have to know the numbers.
You got to know your numbers. But I think back to the debt thing, somebody broke it down for me. It's like, okay, you're paying 6% interest, right?
Yep.
That seems like a lot. Like, I'm paying interest. Inflation, I don't know what it's at right now. It's like 7 to 9% per year. So they're like, if inflation is at or above what you're paying for interest, it's basically free money, right? And that machine in 5 years, so now I'm like building up my savings in order to buy that machine. That $100,000 machine in 5 years is going to be $170,000, right? So it's like, now it's costing more. So buying it now and buying it in debt is actually going to save you money in the long run. And for me, that was like a perspective that I didn't really understand. It's just in the last 10 years or something that I've really started to understand it and leverage debt. But you have to have a plan.
Right.
Don't go into debt unless you have a plan, or you surround yourself with people. If you don't understand your numbers and you don't understand how to use that debt positively, don't do it.
Yep.
But this is where, I think for you mentioned it, like hiring a welder that's, better at you than welding, and getting a bookkeeper that understands these. Like, the best business owners realize they don't have all the answers, and they start to surround themselves with people who are smarter than them or better than them in certain areas. And that isn't a sign of weakness. That's actually a sign of strength. I always say, if you find yourself being the dumbest person in the room, you're probably in the right room. It's a horribly uncomfortable place to be, because like everybody's talking about debt and whatever, and you're like, I don't even know what they're talking about. But like, that's the place to be, because those are the people to learn from. And I think that's the power of like this community, is we have people who've been there before, or a business that's tried it and failed. We have a bookkeeper. We have all these different people in there. Surround yourself with people that have experience and wisdom that you don't have, and steal it, man. Like, pull from everybody around you.
That's been, wrapping up the debt conversation is basically, you have to know your numbers. Debt is a tool that you can use.
There's good debt and
but
bad debt.
If you're not, you can mess it up really easily too if you do it wrong, and that leads into what you just said. You got to have the financial advisors, business coach, an accountant, a bookkeeper.
And they cost money.
And they cost a lot of money, no doubt. I have a guy that runs all of our Facebook ads, Jacob with Lexio Digital. Those guys have changed the game for us. Our email campaigns, all of these things when it comes to marketing. But it's surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you. And as we wrap up this podcast, this is probably what I would say is the biggest mindset shift for me was accepting that. You understand, I own this building. I own it all. Miranda and I own this. And we'll sit in a conversation sometimes with people around us that know way more about anything than, like, we're the I don't want to say we're the dumb ones, but we're just soaking it up. And it's like, I need that guy in my business. I'm more of a visionary guy. I see this thing and I want to do this thing. Putting it into action requires smart people, and you got to be willing to pay those people what they're worth.
Yeah,
for sure. And then that goes back to you got to make the sale so that you can pay.
But it's like, it's this idea. Look at the money you're spending today versus you probably never imagined writing some of the checks that you do today. 7 years ago. But you've learned, like, if I give you $1 and you give me $4, I'm going to keep giving you money.
Yeah, I'll give you $1 every day.
If I give you 4 and you give me 20, I'm going to keep doing it. If I give you 20 and you give me 100, so it's just understanding that, like, it's this investor mindset of, like, I'm going to invest in these things because I know I'm going to get a return. So I can pay a lot of money as long as I get
Yep.
that and more back.
And that's one of the, when you can learn, we recently went to Alex Hormozy's workshop, and one of the things that was mentioned there was when you can separate that emotion and just step back and look at your business as an investor, your cousin who operates this machine, you keep him on because he's your cousin. But now when you walk into it as an investor and you take that emotion out and you realize that that machine should be doing this amount of production, but Billy, my cousin Billy, he doesn't really like that job, but he needs a job, and he's here, and I'm taking care of him, and he's doing this thing. That investor comes in, he's gonna pull Billy, and he's gonna find a better position for Billy, or he might have to let Billy go. And that it takes you surrounding yourself with smarter people, but you also being able to step back, take the advice from smarter people, and looking at the business in a whole different perspective as the investor, and understanding that first is our customer. We take care of our customer, but then this culture is everything, and everyone that is here needs to feel like they're part of something, but they have to contribute.
Yeah.
And
Because ultimately you build a team that takes care of the customer.
yeah,
So if it's a customer is like the number one priority, then how do we build a team around that?
yep,
Because even in my own business, we saw that deteriorate because we didn't manage our culture.
yep,
And then it affected
Yep.
our customers.
yep. For us, and I wanna throw this out there. You're going to wear all the hats in the beginning. There's no doubt about that.
You have to.
You're going to wear all the hats. You're going to have to do the research. You're going to have to do the work. Then you're going to have to spend time at night figuring out, how do I manage my books? How do you manage QuickBooks? I mean, I remember Miranda staying up till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning watching QuickBook tutorials, trying to figure out how to reconcile and do everything else in QuickBooks, until you're able to get to the point where you can hire the bookkeeper, until you're able to get to the point where you can hire the other welder, until you can get to the point to where you can start pushing marketing to other means of marketing with ads or other things like that. At some point, you're not going to be able to carry it all. You won't carry it all.
Well, and it's even figuring out, so you're wearing all these hats. I think it's a great analogy. Like, and there's the hats have different values. And which hat should you shed first? Is the hat that carries the least amount of value? Or I can hire somebody or pay somebody to take that off my plate. So if that's a $10 an hour task and your highest hat is a $100 an hour task, like, you shed the $10 an hour one first.
Yep.
Right? And
Yep.
that might be administrative. That might be bookkeeping. So it's like understanding, okay, I'm ready to take one hat off.
Yep.
I'm going to keep the high value hats until someday you get rid of
Yep.
almost all of them.
Yep.
And I say the ones you can't get rid of, you're the keeper of the vision as the owner, you're the keeper of the culture, and you're the keeper of the communication.
And that's right.
Those
and
are
that's
the three things, the hats that you cannot shed as the owner. But every other one, as you grow, you start getting rid of a hat. When I can afford it, I'm going to get rid of this hat and this hat. I'm going to hire this person.
Yep. I think there needs to, if I had to start a business over tomorrow, my whole mindset would, the initial for me was, I carry it. I carry this whole thing. And now if I started a business tomorrow, I'm going to make sure I know what my numbers are right away. I'm going to know, okay, this. How much does it take to do this, and this? How do I achieve that through marketing? Or, that would be my first push. But I guarantee you I would hire a bookkeeper. I would hire, right away, I would just know this is what I need to put into place. I wouldn't even be worried about paying myself initially. I would make sure that this all happened first, and then I would really basically try to get to the point where I'm at now, where I'm keeping the culture. Name them all again. I forget them all the time. You tell me all the time.
The culture, the vision, and the communication.
Yeah.
Like, those are the things.
Yeah.
You can get rid of the welding. You could even, I'd say sales and marketing are probably one of the last hats to get
Yeah.
rid of because that's what's paying the bills.
Right now it's brand aware. Like
Brand awareness.
we're still the brand, and that's one of our challenges right now. Is Chiasson Smoke is Jason and Miranda,
Yep.
and how do we separate ourselves so that this brand by itself, Chiasson Smoke, represents this culture and this standard. And when a customer buys a product from us, that's what they're buying.
Yep.
You know, it's not the rocket stove, it's not the fire pit. The fire pit is the product that they use that represents that the business sales, but the business itself, like the product funds it, funds the culture of what we are and what we represent. And I think that's what people buy. And when people start their business and they can understand that's what even if you're just a little welding repair shop, brand it. What is that brand all about, you know? And I think that's where people will start seeing a lot more success.
Well, when you create a business, you're really creating like a living organism. It's like, yes, there's Jason and Miranda, but then there's your business.
Yep.
And that business needs to be able to sustain on its own. So you need to feed it and nurture it and train it and all these things so that someday, and I think that's where we go back to the vision. Like, what do you want in the end? Is it I want to pass this down to my kids, or I want to sell my business? But I love some of these businesses that were so, like, think of Disney, like Walt Disney. The impression, like, his values still remain today in their design, in their customer experience. And they've just, like, so the living organism has lived on, beyond him.
Yep.
So imagine if Disney would have died, when Walt Disney died.
Yep.
Instead, it's actually grown and it's become bigger and better, but all the ingredients were there and the values and the vision were set by him.
Yep.
And now other people can carry it on. So it's like getting people to realize you're building a living organism that's going to hopefully go on.
And we're so young, and I think people understand like, yeah, it was we had rocket stoves and now we have our collapsible pit, but there's still other things that we're trying to move forward. And if we weren't here, would Chris, who's kind of like our kind of lead designer guy, does he see that vision of this is, oh yeah, Jason would like this because we think of our customer and it's like, oh, the customer would really enjoy having this feature or something. In that, just keeping it moving forward. Like one example is the painting our products. We could paint our products, but I know the experience of buying a painted collapsible fire pit at Walmart and then getting it home and then lighting it and going through all the paint burning off except on the edges. And then and that was one thing in one of our products was like, that's a thing for us. That's part of our culture. We avoid that issue, and we try to educate and expose people to a whole different style of like, hey guys, we can season this carbon steel, which is a great product, a great material to use in our products, and avoid all of this toxic stuff that you can get. We could probably sit here all day and talk about business, Josh. We kind of do. That's part of your job as being our business coach. But we're going to have to wrap this up. And I want to thank everyone for listening to the podcast, for being here. And don't forget to check out our school program, the Chiasson Business Network.
It's awesome. I mean, we've only been going for a couple months, but
yep.
Man, I think the value is just tremendous.
Yeah, I really think people are going to have the access that I didn't have when I started Chiasson Smoke.
Because being a business owner feels so lonely. And I think that's one of the biggest things is like, you feel alone and you feel like I'm the only one struggling and I'm the only one that has this issue. And when you get in a community of other people, you realize it doesn't matter what industry you're in.
Yeah, it's the same.
They're all going through the same stuff.
Yep.
They're either going through it or they've been through it.
Yep.
And that is the power of the community.
Yep.
Yeah, we talk about all the, how to market and how to sell and all these things. But I think sometimes the greatest value is just that mindset of like, keep going, man. You got it. Like, don't quit. Like,
Yep.
so yeah, join it. It's free trial.
Yeah.
Come check it out. We do lives
Yep.
on different topics. We just did one on knowing your numbers and
Yep.
bookkeeping. We did one on the 5 ways to grow your business. So we're constantly trying to add value and teach the things that you didn't know. And that's kind of what's
Yeah.
driving how we're doing this is like, what are the things you didn't know or didn't have access to that you wish you would have when you started?
And I ask myself all the time, it's like, man, I remember when we started to where we're at now, how I know for a fact I think totally different. Where is it gonna be at in 5 years? Or you know, what does a guy running a $50 million or what does a guy running $100 million revenue company like Ryan Miller, like when you talk to this man, there ain't a negative thing that comes out of his mouth because that mindset is, and I just wonder, like, how does it change? Like, how much more growing do I have to go? Because you don't know. Because I finally made the shift in the mindset from this is how it is and this is how it's always going to be. I'm a welder, blah, 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 to, okay, it goes a little deeper than this. There's more to this. Let's build it. So,
I mean, the amazing thing is once you make that mindset shift, the opportunities are endless.
there it is.
The skills we can teach. But
Yep.
if someone doesn't get out of that mindset, they will never build that business.
I agree with you
Never do
100%.
it.
Well, Josh, thank you for being here. Guys, check out our school platform, the Chiasson Business Network. Thank you for being here. Stay tuned. Episode 13 will be coming soon. And big shout out to our sponsor, PWI. Without their sponsorship, we couldn't bring you these episodes every month. So thank you to those guys.
So we're doing the school community, Jason, and one of the biggest objections we've gotten is like $99 a month to join this community. Like, and you even shared with me, you're like, yeah, when I first started, if you would have come to me and said $99 to come join this community, you probably wouldn't have done it. Like, why not? Why not?
Well, my mindset wasn't in the right place at the time. I would have just thought right away, oh, this is way too expensive. $99 a month, and I didn't know the value of what having other being surrounded. You said it earlier, it's lonely.
Yeah.
And when you're in the middle of building your business and growing your business, it's lonely. You don't have friends. I'm sorry. If you're doing it right, you don't have friends. If there's another way, I definitely didn't take that route. But I would spend $99 easily on beer every month.
Yeah. I mean,
that's
just
I
it.
don't drink anymore, but back then, I was, $99. The mindset was, oh, I can't afford that. What's the value of that? Listening to a bunch of business owners, what are we going to talk about?
So you didn't value like the education piece of like, what can I learn and how can I turn that into real money, or how can I grow my business? Because, I mean, we still see it all the time, and we talk about this.
Yep.
It's like you make a design mistake, you're scrapping thousands of dollars worth of steel every
Yep.
month, that if someone could have taught you a simple process,
Yep.
and maybe that's an hour conversation that costs you $100,
Yep.
$100 conversation just saved you thousands.
Absolutely.
Every month.
And there's a mindset, a mindset that has to change, because I wouldn't have paid it. If our community would have been available in 2020, let's say, or 2021, I wouldn't have paid it, because stubbornness was one of them. Just like, I don't need that.
I don't have time for that.
Because you're carrying everything on your back at that time, and you think that's how you're supposed to do it. And you don't have access to guys that have done it already and are like, hey, bud, let me tell you this. You just don't know it yet. You don't know it yet.
Yeah, I think the busy doesn't mean effective thing is a big one, right? They're so busy, I don't have time to come join an hour-long call on growing your business.
Yep. But they're struggling to make payroll.
They're struggling to make payroll, and they can't.
And they're
they
busy.
Can't get customers.
Yep.
So it's just, it's and what we see is that they pull away and shrink away from community and shrink away from getting help when they need it most. I talked to one of our members that was canceling, and he said, well, I don't have time for this. I just had an employee quit, and so I got to go. And it's like, that's exactly the time you need this.
Why did your employee quit?
Right.
What could you have prevented that from happening? Let's talk about this situation.
Talk about it.
How are you feeling on culture, or like you have to be vulnerable in this group. In a sense, you have to be transparent.
Yep. To
Because
get the value out of it, absolutely.
It's the challenge of the coach. It's the challenge of the group. Of like, I have no emotion tied to your coffee shop, but why are you losing 3 employees a week?
Right.
Oh, well, because they just this, or you want to get serious about this? Let's talk about it. What's your culture like there? What is your mission statement? I don't have a mission statement. Just show up to work and do your job. Red flag.
Right.
And you may not want to hear that, but you need to hear that.
Yeah, the excuses of I don't have time.
Yep.
Well, did you mow your grass this week? Like, what could you have been doing? You got Owen's mowing, doing it for, I don't know what you charge, what Owen charges, but it's probably, if you spent that 3 hours that you were on the mower building your business, what could you have generated?
If there was, that's probably the biggest thing about all of this is learning or knowing what to work on and when to work on it. If you're still in that teeter-totter phase where you got to sell the work and then do the work, this is going to be very beneficial, because we're going to be pushing you towards finding that person that can do that 80%.
Or find somebody that you can outsource to, and what are the things that you can take off your plate? Okay, get rid of your mowing. Like, that seems simple, but I mean, cleaning, mowing, like, We spend 10 hours a week on that. Find a kid to do it, a
Yep.
high schooler, and pay him, and go put
Yep.
10 hours back into growing your business.
Yep.
Great first step. That's even before you've hired employee. Like, what's next? What else can you get off your plate? And just constantly like being like very protective of your time. And that's what's hard is when people are like, I don't have time to join a live.
Right.
But what if that 1 hour could save you 20 hours a week?
Yep. No, until you're in it. That's why we offer the 7-day free
Yeah.
trial.
Come
You
check
have
it
to
out.
you have to get in it, and you have to see what we're talking about and trying to change that mindset. My value was my labor. You understand that? Like that's what I brought to the table. I could do the work. That's why I was such a good employee. I was such a good employee. I said I could make my own. I could run my own business. Well, there's a lot more involved in running this business other than being the good employee or being a good welder or a good fabricator or whatever the skill is. And yeah, unfortunately, I wouldn't have bought it.
You wouldn't quit, you know. And I think that's a lot of people don't have that. Like the difference is you have a level of grit and like failure isn't an option mentality,
Yep.
which allows you to carry it a lot farther than some. But that's the hard thing is when you see people who hit those obstacles and they don't have that level of grit and then they give up.
Yep.
And I think those are the people that we think we can help you, like, because people have been there before, but that's exactly when you need to lean into
I think so. Yeah, and we're gonna say what needs to be said sometimes, and sometimes it's really hard to swallow.
even if it hurts your feelings.
It does. I mean, Josh. I mean, you and I have butted heads, and then it's circled back around, and it's like it had to happen. But I didn't want it to happen because of mindset.
Right.
My value inside of me was welding the rocket stove. This is me. This is what everyone watches on social media. Me and Miranda doing the work. That is the value. And then it was like, no. The value is what you're building here.
Right.
And yeah, how do you join 7-day free
Check
trial?
it out.
Get on it. Yeah. It's on the school platform, the Chiasson Business Network. Check it out. It's a 7-day free trial. If you don't like it, you can leave. Maybe you'll come back when the time is right.
Yeah, I mean, there's community. Anything you're struggling with, you can just put a post out there,
Yep.
and you know, it's amazing. Again, we're still new at this. It's a small community, but already to see like, oh, I've been through this, or I went through that.
Yeah.
So it's like, I tell people, use and abuse the group. Like, ask as many questions. You put time and, you know, you open yourself up, you are going to get tons of value out of it.
Yep.
The people that don't see value are the ones that are unwilling to engage.
Yeah.
And it's probably also a sign that there's other struggles going on in their business. And those are the people that need to lean in now
Yep.
more than ever and be like, hey, I need help.
Yep.
And there's people who want to help. I want to help. You want to help.
Yep.
Because
I
we've
do.
all been there.
I do. And I don't want to, but sometimes it's saying the things that need to be said.
Yep.
And the lights are out. I'd say we can end it there. That was a good closing, I think. We got a closing out of that. Saying the things that need to be said. Boom.
Go